Hey guys, my name's Dave, this is Custom Spray Mods, and in this video I'm painting some motorcycle parts. So, Dan from CafeRacer Garage, he's in Gold Coast, sent them down here to me in Sydney to paint these parts for him. Basically, it's a fuel tank from a CB750, it's in bare metal, it's got a few dents in it, and also a custom-made fiberglass tailpiece. So I've got these parts, it's my job to do an awesome paint job on them. So he sent me the details of the design that he wants and the colors, and we're gonna get to it and paint these parts in this video. What we're gonna go over in this video is a few things. Basically, first we're going to put some fuel tank sealer through the inside of the tank. So I'm gonna show you how to fix the inside of a rusted fuel tank. I'm also gonna show you how to repair dents in the fuel tank and prepare them for primer and paint. We're also going to go over painting a two-tone paint job. So we're going to use a few different colors and show you how to get those different colors looking good, and also spraying a 2K clear on top. Also going to go over flow coating. What is flow coating? I'm going to show you how to do that and get an awesome paint finish in a fuel tank or in anything you want. We'll do that all here on this video. Let's do it. Okay, before we get started, please go over to CafeRacer Garage, subscribe to his YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed to this channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell, and you'll see some awesome content from the both of us. So yeah, thanks a lot. As you can see, the inside of this fuel tank is completely rusted. You can visibly see the rust and the pits, so we're going to use some products to fix that up. So I'm going to use the PPC Fuel Tank Repair Kit. Now this comes with everything needed to do the job. Comes with Marine Clean, which is a degreaser, Metal Ready, which is like a pre-primer and rust treatment, also a fuel tank sealer. So I'm just going to remove anything that I don't want the sealer to get onto. I'm taking the fuel tap out and the fuel filter, then I can start cleaning the tank. I'm going to first rinse it with warm water, and that's just going to get rid of any excess fuel or any contamination inside the tank. Now to make sure the fuel tank is completely clean, we're going to use the Marine Clean. We're going to dilute that 50-50 with warm water, pour it in the tank, and then basically just rinse it around for a minimum of 20 minutes. Now it's time to use the Metal Ready, and I can pour this directly into the tank, and this product makes the metal surface acidic, and this removes rust, and this is necessary for the sealer to effectively bond to the surface. So I'm going to pour that in and basically just mix it around for a minimum of 30 minutes. You can also stand the fuel tank in different positions to allow the Metal Ready to attack the certain areas of the tank. And once again, I'm going to rinse with warm water, mix that around for a little bit, and then completely drain that out. Now this is the most important step in the whole process of repairing the inside of the tank, and that is to make sure the inside is completely dry. So I'm using a mixture of air with the compressor and also a heat gun to make sure that is completely dry. Okay, now I think it's dry, and it says it right here in the instructions. When you think it's dry, dry again. So yeah, I'm going to dry it again. At this stage, the inside of the tank does look rusted, but it has a nice coating of Metal Ready on there, and it's ready for the tank sealer to go in. Now it's important to stir it up and mix it really well because it can settle. So I've stirred this up, now I'm ready to pour it inside the tank. So I've poured the tank sealer in, and now I'm going to put some tape over the fuel tank opening and just roll the fuel tank around for about 20 minutes and make sure the sealer goes into all the seams and to all the little parts of the fuel tank. This is going to provide a great coating, and it's going to be fuel resistant and rust resistant, and it's pretty much going to last forever now. So we've got a great coating inside the tank. We're ready to move on to the next step. Moving to the outside of the tank now, because this is bare metal and it's been sitting around for a while, I'm going to clean it with some deoxidine. Basically just wipe it on and wash it off with water. Now I'm going to dry it and sand it with 240 grit dry sandpaper, then I'll be ready to spray some primer on there. I'm going to clean it with some acetone, then I'll be ready to mix up my primer and spray it on the tank. Now I'm going to mix up and spray a polyester primer. Now this is 2-pack, which means I have to mix a hardener with it. It's going to dry nice and strong, basically goes direct to metal, and it's a very high build, so it's going to be a great base to start working on this tank. Now I'm going to spray some black paint over the tank, and that's going to be a guide. So now I'm sanding with a block and 150 grit sandpaper, but any leftover bits of black means that there are low spots in the tank, and that means I have to fill them with some body filler and get this tank looking nice and smooth and right. As you can see, because the block's flat, it's not reaching these low spots. Now I've gone and I've sanded the whole tank, and you can pretty much see all the low spots that need attention. I've got these areas where the badges were, and a few dents on the top and the sides of the tank, so I need to mix up some body filler and fill these dents. Now before I apply the body filler, I need to sand all the dented areas with 150 grit sandpaper. That's going to allow it to stick. Now I'm going to clean it with some wax and grease remover, and I can move on to my next step. I'm using some fine filler because these dents aren't that big. I'm going to mix the hardener. This is a ratio of 100 to 2. I've just put a line down the middle of the pile of filler, mix it up really well, and apply it to all the dents. Now that I've applied the filler and let it fully dry, I'm going to sand it with a block and some 80 grit dry sandpaper. Now the block's flat, that's going to use the existing shape of the tank and basically shape that filler. Now I haven't got it right the first time, so I'm going to apply more body filler and even some filler to any pinholes, then go over it again with 80 grit, then 150 grit, and then finally finish with 240 grit sandpaper. Now I'm going to clean the tank with some acetone, and I'll be ready to spray some more primer. This time I'm going to spray 3 coats of primer, waiting 10 minutes between coats. Like I said before, this is a high build polyester primer, so it's great over repairs. It's going to fill any low spots if there's any sinkage, and because this primer dries rock hard, I'm not going to have a problem with seeing those dents come back. Again, I'm going to spray it with some guide coat. This time I'm going to sand with 400 grit wet sandpaper. Then I'm going to finish with 600 grit dry sandpaper on the machine, and that's going to get it nice and smooth and ready for my base coats. Now Dan has also sent me this fiberglass tailpiece. Now it's obviously custom made, and I think he's done a pretty good job, but there are a few imperfections in the finish, so I'm going to spray it with some guide coat and then give it a sand, and hopefully that will expose any low spots or any parts that need attention. Then I can use some body filler to fill up those areas. Again, I'm just going to mix up some fine body filler, and this sticks directly to fiberglass. So all you have to do is sand the surface and the body filler will go straight onto fiberglass. So it does need a bit of work. I'm applying the body filler around the areas that need it. Then I can let that dry and sand it. I'm going to sand it with 80 grit, then 150 grit. Then I'm going to finish with 240 grit, and I'll be ready for some primer. I've sprayed 3 coats of primer and I've sanded it. Now I'm ready for my base coats. Okay, so I've got the tank and the tail all in primer. They've all been repaired. I've sprayed the primer on there, sanded them back. Now they're ready for paint. Now I've got a bit of a guide of what I'm to paint these. So it's to be like black with a gold stripe and a grey stripe. I've got my guides of where the stripe's going to go. So yeah, now it's time to mix up my base coat and get going with some colour. Before I do anything, I'm going to clean it with wax and grease remover, spray on and wipe off. Now I'm going to start by applying this grey colour. It's a metallic grey and I'm using a 2K base coat. Basically all I need to do is mix it with thinners and spray it on the job. Going to spray 3 coats, waiting 10 minutes between coats. Then I'll let that dry for about 30 minutes, and then I can start masking up. I'm using this vinyl fine line tape. I'm going to mask up the shapes that I want, and then I'll be ready to move on to the next step. Just using a ruler with some markings on it to try and get the shape to be uniform. This can be tricky, just takes a bit of patience and time, and the result is always pretty good. So I've covered up the areas I don't want paint to get on, and I'm spraying the next colour, again 2K base coat. This time the colour is gold. Spray that on, let it dry, and now I'm masking that up. I need a line down the centre of this, so I've put 2 pieces of tape, which is the exact width of the line, and I'm just using some other tape to get it to be uniform. Now that tape's down, I'm going to spray base coat black over the whole rest of the tank. Now that the base coats are done, we're going to mix up some 2K clear and spray it over the parts.
Yeah, I'm about to fade away, cause every time I wake up I feel like it's Monday. Something's going wrong with all the chemicals up in my brain. All of a sudden I don't look at anything the same way. Gotta build up of my thoughts sitting in an ashtray. I'm sorry that I'm so inconvenient, okay. Just let me be me and I'll stay out of your way. I can see the way you look at me, I'm such a disgrace. I never really asked to be brought into this place. You wanna love me this way? I really hope that you will choose to stay through all the pain. I know you told your friend you're not okay. So I've sprayed 3 coats of clear and I've allowed it to dry for about 3 days. Now I'm going to wet sand it with 1000 grit, and this is going to level out the clear. So over all those lines, there's a little notch where the lines were. Basically, doing this is going to get rid of that, smooth out the clear, and allow a nice flat base for this new clear to go onto. The clear is all done, so I'm going to let it dry for a few days, then I'll move on to the next step. Now, after the second coat of clear, the tank looks really good, but I'm going to sand it with some 1500 grit wet sandpaper just to get it looking even better. This is going to smooth out the clear and basically get rid of any dust that might have landed in the clear. As you can see on this tail piece, after I've sanded it, you can see where the dust has landed on the paint. By sanding this with 1500 grit and then machine polishing it out, we'll basically get rid of any dust. So I'm going to start by using my favourite cutting compound, the 3D ACA 510 and the 3D coarse foam pads. I'm using a mini rotary. I'm just going to apply some to the pad and machine polish this clear. Now that I visibly can't see any more of the sandpaper scratches that I made with the 1500, I'm going to move on to a medium pad, and I'm still using the ACA 510, the coarse compound. The medium pad will give a finer cut and just get rid of any bits of sandpaper scratches that I might have missed.
Now I'm going to use the 3D 520, which is a finishing compound. It's a very fine compound. I'm going to use it with a soft pad, and that's just going to get rid of any haziness left over from the previous step. Now for extra gloss and protection, I'm just applying a wax. Well, there you go. The tank and the tail are all painted. When they came to me, the tank was bare metal. The inside was a little bit rusted, so I treated the inside, put the tank sealer in. Then I treated the outside of the tank, sprayed primer, put some body filler. Then I sanded it, sprayed more primer, sprayed the base coat, then sprayed the clear coat, let that dry, sanded that, and then cleared it again, and then machine polished it. So that's why I've got this awesome, super smooth finish. You can't feel any lines from the different levels of paint. Basically, it's flow coated, it's looking great. The tail looks good too. All the products I used in this video, I'll put in the description. Now all I gotta do is send this up to Dan in Gold Coast, CafeRacer Garage. He's gonna put it together on his build, and then he's gonna make a video about that. So you can watch this, how to paint it. You can watch that video, how he put the bike together. And just a whole lot of awesome content from both these channels. So yeah, hope you like it, hope you like the video. Thanks for watching, give it a thumbs up, and hit the subscribe button on both the channels, and I will see you next time.